So, Bo, how are you planning to use our Patreon money now that you got a new computer? I guess I will save up for a new microphone or maybe a microphone stand. And also, I bought this new Dakimakura. Look! It has a backside as well. Wow, look! Excuse me, what the f... Perfect. Hey guys, it's your Bo the Doggo, and welcome back to Winds of Change! So, we're on the way to Balteus, or Balteus, or whatever you want to pronounce it. And, now Shane is on his way to attack us. With a fleet approaching our fleet. And he's out to kill me. But he don't know that Damek is alive, so we will see. Will he meet him in this episode, and can we turn him back to our side, or will we have to kill him? I don't know. We will see. So let's go. So a little recap. As soon as I arrived to the deck, I see exactly why I was needed. Off in the distance, we're met by a fleet of ships belonging to the Triumvirate. They're far, but not far enough away that the sheen of the honor guard is concealed. Damek and Holo immediately runs over, and I can see the panic on their faces. It was clear that battle would be imminent. I meet them halfway to see what the plan is.
We have no plan.
Oh, that's good.
Perhaps this is time for Damek to shine. A master strategist. Is that not what your people say?
Hal, this is no time to be petty. We need to put our heads together and figure this out. Let's see. It's a small fleet, maybe only half the size of ours.
Naval warfare was not something the monarchy practiced. We lived in peace, Damek. Our world was not discordant like this one.
How does the war itself then help us? I mean, how is this worse than going to war if you lived peaceful? Your argument is invalid, Howl. We exchange glances. Damek seems uncertain and a little worried. He strikes a pause of thought, and it's a while before he breaks the silence.
Okay, I'll do it. We know this battle is lost if the Monarch doesn't make it ashore. So our goal should be securing the safety of this boat and the lives of those on board. This is when we need to rely on everyone's strengths. We need the pirates to take action.
He waits over Nada.
Nada, we need you to order your forces to charge. This is precisely why I wanted to form a treaty for battle at sea. I need you to occupy the forces. Distract them while we slip by.
Slip by? They'll notice you right away. Baltean ships are equipped with projectile weaponry. 1 or 2 good shots and you'll be underwater in minutes.
That's what I'm counting on.
Okay.
Excuse me?
We're going to let them sink this ship.
You can't be serious.
I have a plan, Nada. Everybody listen up. We'll time it so we're close by when they hit us. As we sink, we can hop over to their ship and hijack it.
Oh.
Using their own projectile weapons, we'll start sinking them one by one. Their attention will be divided. They'll be getting attacked from multiple sides. We can use that to our advantage. They won't be able to retaliate through the chaos.
A bold move, you know. Do you want me to send the order?
Yeah, we need to do this immediately. There's no room for error. This is the end.
Sure thing.
Nada runs off and climbs the netting of the ship. I look over at other ships, and pirates starts doing the same. It's almost like they have an entire language to communicate over long distances. It was an impressive sight to see. However, seeing Damek think on his feet was equally as impressive. With a sigh and a smile, confidence overtakes the panic from moments before.
Damek, we must say, that was pretty impressive. Hopefully now you realize that visions only hold you back.
Huh?
Look at what happened back in the Rebel HQ. You relied on a vision. You tried to fulfill some prophecy. In a way, that is limiting. You plan your strategy around certainties. But there are no certainties in war. Assume that the enemy is a counter for your every action. In this case, we should also plan for a scenario where the enemy prevails.
Damek shakes his head.
They won't. Simply because we can't afford it. Any losses at this point would mean the end of our cause. Trust in the pirates, Howl. Trust in all of us. We can do this.
So are you telling us that we shouldn't plan for like a plan B if this doesn't work because it needs to work? That doesn't make any sense. Howl simply nods. Moments later, the pirates launch their assault. We all lose our balance as our ship takes a sharp turn, moving in a new direction. This was a risky plan, but like Damek requested, I choose to place my trust in him. If trust wouldn't carry us to victory, then it would be our strength and resolve. I hold on to the side of the ship as our speed increases. Everybody braces themselves. They're not sure what's going on, but Damek draws his sword and raises it into the air.
Everybody listen up. The final hour is upon us. Our pirate army will be charging against the enemy fleet. While they're distracted, we'll slip in and hijack one of their ships.
Yeah.
That means we'll be sacrificing this vessel. So don't be alarmed if they deal us a fatal blow. As we're sinking, we'll jump over and board the enemy. Their ships are equipped with projectile weaponry. Using their own ship, we will turn their weapons against them. They won't know where to focus, and we'll use the chaos to our advantage.
He starts to talk a bit louder as our ship picks up speed. We move away from the main fleet, preparing to approach them from the flank. I notice that soldiers nod, accepting Damek's order and plan without hesitation.
If things go south, I need all of you to protect the monarch. Without him, we will lose not only this battle, but the war as well. His life and the blade that he carries should be our top priority. Do I make myself clear?
Everybody cheers in approval and raises a sword like Damek. Then we all stand and watch the bulk of our fleet as a battle begins. We slowly move away from the action, and I can tell that some are relieved. As soon as the pirates get close enough, the honor guard retaliates. They launch heavy projectiles from the catapults and shoot harpoons from the wooden structures. The pirates, with their sailing expertise, are mostly able to counter by altering their trajectory. However, it's not all of them that can do so. I witness several ships get torn apart and start to sink. My heart sinks with them, knowing that they were willing to sacrifice themselves for me. It seems that the battle is on full force. They get closer and start to board each other. I can hear swords clashing as the honor guards try to defend against the pirates' charge. Ships on both sides start to sink, and soon enough, it's almost impossible to see what's happening. From this distance, it's too chaotic, but if enemy ships are sinking, we must have seized some weapons. That means that the tables have started to turn, but it's up to us to play our part as well. I turn back and look at where we were headed. We were dangerously close to some enemy ships. Damek calls out to everybody, shifting their attention away from the distant battle.
This is it. There's no turning back. Everybody, brace yourselves to charge!
I can see the honor guard prepare their weapons. When I scan my surroundings, I can see our forces prepare as well. A line of archers forms, ready to attack the enemies at a moment's notice.
Hold!
He places a fist in the air. An intense silence follows. Both sides are armed. The question is, who attacks first? I take a deep breath and pull out the blade of Exodus.
Hold!
I look over at the ship that we left behind. The numbers are easily halved. But this goes for the enemy as well. This was clearly the turning point. What happened next would decide the fate of our entire cause. And it began with a barrage of projectile weaponry. Our enemy attacked the ship with everything they had. I can feel the hull get torn apart and everything starts shaking.
Fire!
The archers return fire, knocking out the suits of armor manning the weapons. I look back at the wheels of the ship and Nada spins it, turning us towards the enemy vessel.
This is it. Get ready to jump.
Damek nods, and then a moment later, everything erupts into chaos. Our forces jump to the enemy ship after a long running start. They land safely and start decimating the honor guard.
See you on the other side, Monarch!
Okay, bye. With a smirk, he follows our soldiers, jumping across to the enemy ship. Landing with a roll, he immediately starts fighting, displaying impressive skill. I didn't get to see him fight in our HQ or in Alrenthia. It's quite a sight. He dodges the enemy attack with ease and retaliates with expertise. Taking out multiple suits of armor with a single swing, he clearly holds his own. I turn around and order the remaining soldiers to charge. I save myself for last. But before I jump, I notice that Nada is still at the wheel. I shout her name and tell her to get across as soon as possible. The ship has already started to sink, and water rises at my feet. No, because the captain always sinks with the ship.
You know, the Code of Honor states that a captain should go down with her ship. If it weren't for that treaty, I'd be ready to let myself die right here and now. I think my new nation will change things up a bit. No more stupid sacrifices.
Good idea. She leaves the wheel behind and places a hand on my shoulder.
I have to thank you for what you've done, Monarch. Now, let's make this jump. There's still so much left to do.
Yeah. A sly smirk appears on her face.
Hey, first one there gets more suits to kill. Don't want to keep them waiting, right?
Right. We move to the opposite side of the ship, putting distance between us and the enemy vessel. I notice that most of the honor guard have fallen, and our soldiers are manning the weaponry. That's a good sign. With the feeling that victory is ours, Nada and I start to sprint towards the enemy. She makes it there first, jumping up on the railing of our ship and launching herself across the gap. I'm not far behind, and I jump up on the railing moments after. However, I make it no further. An arrow pierces through my shoulder, and I fall back onto our ship in a pool of freezing water. I pull out the arrow with a grunt. Blood oozes from the wound, but it's nothing major. We could patch it up as soon as the enemy ships were taken care of. I rise to my feet. Looking up, I immediately noticed the source of the arrow. It wasn't the honor guard. It was Shane! It was Shane! With an evil smirk, he jumps across, boarding our ship. It's still sinking, but I have time. If I take care of him fast enough, then I'd be able to carry out our plan as originally intended. But instead of coming for me, he runs towards the wheel, steering our ship away from the chaos. That wasn't good. My time was limited if we were both sinking and making the distance greater. He must know exactly what he was doing. Part of me wondered if we played into some sort of trap. I look at my allies, and they seem to be doing a good enough job as they enact our plan. My fist shakes as I grip the blade of Exodus. Shane scoffs as he watches. I shout at him in anger and despair. I call him a traitor, and I condemn him. He almost killed Damek. He caused an irreparable damage to my family.
A traitor? Not from where I'm standing. Damek abandoned me, and it's all because of you. He's a selfish fool. All he cares about is that stupid sword!
I keep walking toward him, and the ship shakes violently. Water keeps spilling on the deck, and I'm standing almost ankle deep.
I had a plan! We had a plan! And he threw it all away! The moment you walked through that door, he let you replace me! He left me to rot in the Triumvirate's prison because you were more convenient!
That's not true! I tried to reason with Shane, but to no avail.
You saw how many people died in your HQ during that little attack. If you couldn't wield that sword, you'd be buried down there with the rest of them. Damek didn't care about you or your friends. He only cared about your power.
Again, that is not true. He's clearly been converted by the Triumvirate.
I was thinking long and hard about what I should do. You know, what was my place in all this?
Much to my surprise, he throws both of his daggers on the ground.
And I realized that if I served the Triumvirate, I'd receive the same power. It seemed fitting. End Damek's rebellion with the same thing he was relying on.
Oh? He smirks, and I can tell that the man Damek cared about was already dead. Aww.
I wish he could be here to see this. But you'll tell him the story, won't you?
What are you doing? A moment later, he charges at me unarmed. But in almost a blink of an eye, the blade appears in his hands. No! Robbed from mine, I have no choice but to jump out of the way. I run to the opposite side of the ship, where he threw his pair of daggers. Picking them up, I assume a fighting stance and wait for him to charge again.
Not strong enough to take it back by willpower alone? Thought so. You're weak. See, I was blessed by the Triumvirate. All you got was worthless energy from the realm of spirits. Out of pity, too.
He doesn't seem to know about the monarchy, or the true nature of the power within me. Big surprise. The Triumvirate lost Zoe when he found out. I should use this to my advantage. As he charges, I maintain the facade that I'm weak and unable to summon back the blade. I dodge to the side once more, but slice into Shane's arm with one of his own daggers. He winches and grunts, his arm starts to bleed, but it doesn't seem to affect his performance. He charges again, and I dodge to the other side. With a roll, I slice his leg. He stumbles. I have speed and agility when he relies on slow brute strength. It's easy to tell that he'd never fought with such a weapon before. From what I've seen, he can really only use arrows and daggers.
Is that all you got?
I won't be able to keep up the same strategy forever. I need to change it up while I think of how to end this. He charges once more, but this time I meet him head on. Holding out the daggers in the cross formation, I stop the blade from going any further. We struggle, both at almost equal strength, trembling as we try to overpower the other. I tell Shane that Damek was still alive. The spirits willed it because his cause was righteous.
Impossible!
He'd never comply if I told him to look for himself, so there's no way that I can prove it. However, he seems to let up a little bit, and I'm able to overpower him some more. I push him away and tell him that it's all true. He's on the wrong side of this war.
No, you're the one on the wrong side! The rebellion is small and insignificant. Hundreds standing in a world of millions.
Where is Zoe when we need him? Zoe can just be like, sorry Shane, I lied to you, that note was not true. I made that up, la la la, you know.
Even if you win, they won't respect your power. They're happy living under the Triumvirate's rule. Revenge won't solve anything. Just back down.
We circle around each other, both holding out our weapons.
I was hurt by the occupation and I wanted to fight, but I realized I was being greedy, and there was no point. It's not my happiness, my satisfaction that matters. It's the world's.
And by the worlds, you mean the Triumvirate? It seems that we reach a stalemate, both trying to talk each other down. But I wouldn't yield, and something told me that he wouldn't either. His view had been twisted, and he thinks that mine has as well. We charge at one another and meet in the middle once more. The water rises, and I can tell that time is minimal. We're sinking fast. Returning to the same deadlock as before, I'd need to do something. I need to summon the blade back when he least expects it. My time is limited, and it honestly seems like Shane is beyond saving. But the question is, what do I do when it's back in my grasp? Oh! The choice will affect the future of Addae. Kill Shane or incapacitate Shane. Oh no! No, I will incapacitate Shane because I think that Zoe and Damek can talk some sense into him. And that's why Ed Howl, Damek and Zoe can talk some sense into Shane and at least maybe put him back to our side. So we are going to incapacitate Shane. He didn't deserve to die. That much was clear. There had to be a chance that he'd see reason in the future. If I went on to win this war, maybe he'd see things differently.
You took everything from me!
His anger and rage empowers him, and I start to tremble even more. It takes a lot to resist the strength of a man wielding the blade of Exodus. I do my best to bide time until I find the right opportunity. I contest Shane's words.
You were born with everything I worked so hard to achieve! They were my family, my friends, and you took them all away!
I was born with what? As he starts to get more desperate and angry, I decide to take action. I let him overpower me, and I step to the side, dodging his next swing.
I hate you!
But immediately after, and much to his surprise, I face the blade back into my hands. While he's caught off guard, I raise the blade up in the air and smash the base against his head. He screams and stumbles back, knocked into a daze. I step forward and do the same thing again. I'm careful not to go too far, and I stop the moment I find enough time to make my escape. He slumps down on the ground, almost knocked unconscious. I can hear him cry and whimper. There was no way to know if he'd make it out alive, but at least he had the chance. Oh, I thought that we would take in prison. Oops.
Damek!
This was enough of a distraction. I had to get moving. Looking back at Shane, it's crushing how far he seems to have fallen. When I saw Damek again, it might be wise not to even tell him what happened. Are you sure? I jump into the water and immediately start swimming towards the ship that our cameras are on. But soon after jumping in, the freezing water makes my limbs feel stiff and my chest heavy. Fighting as long as I can, I keep swimming. I know I can do this. This is no time to give up. Revenge or reason? Ooh, I guess I chose reason. Was that a purity choice? When my vision fades back in, I can feel that I'm being dragged. What happened? My body is covered in snow and I'm shivering. I must have passed out back in the water. I shake my head and whoever is carrying me seems to notice. They put me back down and sigh. Is it Howl?
You're awake.
Oh.
Thank goodness. When I found you in the water, I was starting to worry. What happened back there anyway? You were so far behind us.
Well, something came up. I shake my head, telling him that I can't remember much. A necessary lie. If he knew what Shane tried to do and how lost he was, it would damage his morale. He needed to see my survival as a triumph. We couldn't afford any damaged morale.
Oh, I see. Can you stand on your own? We're resting in a shack that's not too far away. It's nothing fancy, but it'll give us the privacy we need.
Okay. Nodding, I get up on my feet. I stumble a bit, but Damek can tell that I'm still fine.
Just follow me, alright? I'll give you an update once we arrive. A lot of stuff happened while you were out.
Oh. Normally, a statement like that, under these circumstances, would fill me with fear. But Damek says it with such a calm demeanor that I'm led to believe that everybody is fine. Holding that optimism in my head, I smile as we make our way towards the shack he mentioned. As soon as we arrive, I make my way to the shack and lean against it. We barely even arrived in Balteos and everything was already chaotic. All of my comrades are scattered about, talking among themselves. I'm glad that they survived. I try to account for them one by one as I look around. After a few moments, something strikes me. I can't see either Fortem or Valessa. Howl approaches me and he lets out a sign of relief. I can imagine that my momentary disappearance stressed everybody out.
Good to see you, Monarch. We were worried. It seems that almost everybody's accounted for.
I ask him where Valessa and Fortem are. His demeanor quickly changes to that of sadness.
They are some of the few we have yet to find.
No!
But we are certain that they live. We haven't found their bodies. Many of them washed ashore. Casualties of the battle at sea.
Oh no, can they be being captured?
We are relieved to know that you are not one of those casualties. The plan is to wait in and around the shack until everybody shows up. This might be a good time for you to get some rest. Please relax.
Relax? While my best friends are missing? That was a tall order, and I tell Howl that I might not be able to.
Please do not resort to worst-case scenario thinking. This is a time to be hopeful. We stand on the precipice of victory. We will go and look for them personally. You deserve some rest.
Thank you, Howl. I nod and thank him as I turn away. Scanning the area once more, I see who I can find. A few of the comrades I can find slowly gather around me.
Hey, good to see that you're still among the living. That was pretty intense, wasn't it? Sure scared me, at least. I'm not one for sailing or fighting, so combining both? Yikes.
The golden boy is alive!
Yeah, Pro was scared. Thankfully, I have strength for two. He cowered in the corner while I did all of the hard work.
Oh yeah, and Ulrich is also here.
Did not.
Sure.
They share a quick laugh. But soon after that, I can tell that something is wrong. Is there something that I'm not being told about all of this?
It's about Nada, Monarch.
Oh?
She's resting in the shack, in critical condition. I think we can nurse her back to health, but I'm not sure.
Uh-oh. Oh no.
Look, it's probably best not to think about it too much. She's in good hands. We just need to forge on as a team. If it weren't for her, we'd all be dead at sea. This is a victory.
I guess that's true.
It was just important that we gave you a status report. I think once everybody gets here, we'll hold another meeting. Our strategy may need some adapting after these losses.
Yeah, go take a breather. You deserve it. Right now, our options are pretty limited.
Okay.
It's not ideal, but he's right. All we can do right now is wait. Thanks for the chat, Monarch.
Sure. I guess there wasn't much left for me to do. I make my way back to the shack, hopefully to relax. But I was chasing an impossibility. I'd find no rest here. Not until everything was over. And that would mean we'd either win or die. As I enter the shack, I pray that it's a former. As soon as I'm inside, I let out a huge sigh. The emotions behind it are almost undiscernible. There was so much going on, my mind was overwhelmed. I guess I should take care of the most important stuff first. The pirate forces suffered heavy casualties and Nada was almost lost. I can see her resting on a small bed that sits in the corner of the shack. She noticed me and waves me over. It's a soft motion and I can tell that she's in pain.
Hey, how are you holding up?
Are you one to ask? I tell her that I'm doing alright.
At least that makes one of us. I almost died, but one of my men shielded me. That's the weight of power, I guess. Watching them die.
Oh. She winces in pain and I see a wound on her abdomen.
It never gets any easier, though. Hey, can you promise me one thing?
I'm not sure. Depends. I nod and she waves me closer as her voice weakens. She holds out her hand and I shake it with a firm grip.
Give them hell for me, Monarch.
Aww.
If I die, I want to die knowing that we've won. Show them no quarter. They don't deserve it.
I'd make sure to do that, yes. I nod and then releases the grip on her hand. She dozens off into a slumber and I decide to leave her be. Rest would be important right now. She shouldn't force anything. After standing up, I look down at her. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't even be here right now. I smile and silently thank her for all that she's done. The door to the shack swings open, startling me. I turn around to see Grizz look around, oblivious to my presence. After a few moments, he notices me and lets out a nervous laugh.
I never thought I'd see this place again. This is where I used to live, before I joined the Triumvirate.
Oh.
A simple shepherd. That's all I was. They said they saw greatness in me. But now I know that all they saw was a naive man ready to serve. They prey on the weak, on those whose minds can be warped. I'm a different man now, but perhaps my change came too late.
He steps forward and places his hand on the table.
I don't know if this is important or not, but Balteus has changed. It used to be a beautiful place, but now it's almost like it's dying. I can't put my finger on it, but something bad is happening here. So be careful, all right? We can't lose you, Monarch. But if it's within your power, I'd like to see Balteus restored. Placing your throne here and settling down would be a good idea.
Oh, you think so? I agree, even though I'm not entirely sure what he's talking about. Balteus has changed? It's dying? I'm not sure how that works, but he's also not one to lie, so I just let him continue talking.
They made me kill my flock of sheep before joining them. They said it symbolized the death of my old life and the start of my new one. I felt awful, but I still chose to comply. I wasn't the smartest when I was younger. That's why I wear the skin of my favorite sheep. I called him Lassiter. I wore him as a tribute, but he slowly turned into a symbol of my resentment. Seeing him every day, that constant reminder, was part of why I defected.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't live with what I did, so I sought redemption. Of course, you know the rest, so I won't bore you. Thank you for listening to an old man's ramblings.
I give him my sympathy. That must have been an awful thing to experience. They use their status as gods to manipulate young and impressionable people. I can imagine that abandoning your moral code is easier if it's to impress gods like them. I'm glad that he survived those tunnels and chose to assist us in the final battle. I make sure to tell him that, and he gives me a wide smile in exchange.
That means a lot. It really does. I want to see the Triumvirate fall, even if it means losing my life. Giving everybody out there a happy future? Now that would let me rest easy.
Yay.
Of course, my survival would be preferable. I promise not to do anything too reckless. You have my word. That's all I can really give you for now. I hope that it's enough.
For now. He starts walking around the shack, expecting things. There must be a lot of memories here, if this is where he used to live. It's probably best to leave him to himself, given the current circumstances. There isn't much left to do but rest, I suppose. I move to the corner and press my back against the wall once more. Hopefully, they're able to find Valessa and Fortem. I just can't lose them now. I'll rest in here for a while and gather my bearings. This is not a time for freaking out. You can continue the story when you're ready by clicking the arrow in the top right corner. Oh, cool. Is this my sword? Cool, I get a little breather. Well, that's a perfect place for ending this episode. So what will happen next? Ooh, next episode we will find out. So be sure to hit the notifications, turn notifications on to be notified when I upload the next episode. And also please leave a like to please the YouTube algorithm. Thank you to my patrons for supporting me and letting me make videos like this and helping me buy new body pillows so I can put here in the back. I will try to find something to fill it up with. But for now he will hang here, I guess. Yeah, I don't think there is more to say. Hopefully we'll find Valessa and Fortem in the next episode, but I think they might actually be taking in the captured by the Triumvirate. Oh yeah, and that's something else I thought of when before. What if the time loop thing is blah blah blah? You know, when there's time loops, there are also different dimensions and stuff. And what if this playable character, is like the Triumvirate, the main Triumvirate, but like from another dimension or something? Like, yeah, that would be cool, but let's not think about that now. I'm gonna end the episode. So I love you guys, and take care. And remember that you are loved and appreciated, and you should be proud of who you are, because I want to see you in the next episode. Bye! So, you're coming here often?